Have you always wanted to participate in a track day but don't because you think your car isn't good enough or worried hard driving may damage your car? Well, in this video, I'll cover track prep, the tools you may need, what to expect on the day, and some track tips so you can get your car to the next track day, have some fun, drive hard, and bring your car home in one piece without any issues at all. Big disclaimer before I start, I'm not a professional, but also majority of car insurance or car warranty will not cover you for track days, so make sure you do your research and assess the risk. Assuming you take it easy on the day and attend track events which are geared towards beginners, it's unlikely that anything will go wrong. So what to do first? Before booking any track day, you should always contact the organizers and have a chat. Confirm what services they offer on site, such as refueling, helmet hire, communal tools, and what vehicle qualifying rules are required before you can get on track. For example, the first track day that I went to, they required me to install tow hooks front and back, a fire extinguisher, battery terminal covers because I didn't have any, plus they inspected my vehicle and helmet inside and out on the day. Whereas the last track I went to, they didn't even check my car and they didn't care what helmet I wore. So every track is going to be different. Next step depends on what vehicle you own. Use common sense for what belongs on track or ask the organizers. If you have a newer vehicle, assuming your vehicle has been serviced at every required interval without fail and only ever replaced parts with OEM or better, then you're almost ready to go because your car should technically be in optimal service condition. Keep in mind that if your vehicle uses economy tires, brake pads, or rotors, it may hinder your ability to go fast around the track due to either lack of traction at high speeds, which is your tires, or reduced stopping power due to overheating brakes. You can upgrade later if this becomes an issue, assuming that you plan to track more after this event, but you should be okay for your first time. If you have skipped any service items at all throughout the vehicle's life, you're going to want to determine whether it's worth addressing it prior to the track day, as you don't want to cause any damage to your vehicle or harm to yourself if, say, the brakes fail. Pre-track checks will be covered soon, so keep watching. If you have an older vehicle, missing service history, or you're just a DIYer, then this part is for you. Here are some of the basic tools you might need, if not more. In most cases, you need a simple socket set, you need a jack. For safety, you should get some jack stands. After the pre-check, which we're about to go through, if you need to change fluids or parts, then your toolkit will need to expand, and so will your skill set, which requires time and money. Once you understand what needs to be changed, you could seek a quote from a mechanic and weigh up the costs between them doing it or you buying the tools and doing it. If your vehicle has a check engine light, suffers from any performance or operational issues, or anything that is alarming which impacts your day-to-day driving, then you need to get those items fixed first. Assuming this doesn't apply to you, you're ready to get your car up on jack stands. Before raising up your car, get your wheel lug nuts loose so they can be easily taken off once the car is in the air. Then removing the wheels will be a breeze. First, you're going to check the condition of all the fluids by using a mixture of service records, your eyes, and where possible, a tester. Starting with the engine oil. Check the color of the existing engine oil using the dipstick. If the color is black and you have no idea when it was last changed, then you need to go ahead and change it with a new filter. If your oil gets changed on time every single year and it looks clean right now, then you should be fine to move on. Unlikely that you'll see it on the dipstick, but if you do see shiny bits of metal in your oil, then you've got bigger problems and you're probably not ready to track. If you are changing your oil, you do not yet need to switch to a more expensive engine oil designed to withstand more heat unless you're getting serious about track days. So just stick to the standard oil for now. For transmission or gearbox fluid, in most cases, you can't check this by eye. Knowing when it was last changed and researching the recommended OEM change intervals for your car will be important. If you're well within the recommended change timeframes, then you should be okay. If you have no prior history, just change it to prevent damage and for smoother shifting. If you have any issues with your shifting, then maybe changing it on a manual transmission car is a good idea. However, automatic is a bit different. If you have a sealed automatic transmission, it can be extremely costly to service, so you need to weigh up the costs. An automatic transmission is slightly more complex than a manual. If your vehicle has an independent differential, again, in most cases, you cannot check this by eye, so the same rule applies here as well, which I stated for the transmission or gearbox. Power steering fluid is very low on the priority list unless you have a physical steering problem. If it's within an OEM service interval, then you are fine, but if you have absolutely no history, try accessing the reservoir, and if it's very dirty or your steering is not smooth, you need to change it, but it won't hurt if you did it. Now for your coolant, you can purchase a coolant testing strip very cheap, which tells you if the coolant is still protecting against corrosion or extreme temperatures, or if it is degraded and needs to be replaced. Because engine overheating is not a good time on track, you need to replace the coolant if this test fails, or if you're checking it by eye and it looks dirty or has floating debris in the reservoir, change it immediately. Now moving on to the most important items in my opinion, which is braking and tires. Firstly, braking. I highly recommend that you purchase an inexpensive fluid testing device. This will measure the percentage of moisture or water content that sits in your brake fluid, letting you know whether you need to change it. If you detect any moisture at all in your brake fluid, or if you find that your brake pedal is too soft, replace the fluid. You don't want to be messing around with your brakes. Even if your brake fluid has a little bit of life left, just change it. If you have any concerns about your brakes at all, don't track your car unless you address it. Although your brakes might work fine in normal driving conditions, they may fail on the track if left unchecked. This is a great time to check your pad level and rotor condition, and there are many resources available to do so, so replace it if you think it's ready, and I'd even recommend upgrading if you have the means, as braking is the most important thing on the track. The same fluid test can apply to your clutch fluid if you have a manual car, so you may as well replace that when you're replacing your brake fluid. Now moving on to tires. The rule of thumb is if the tire is older than 5 years, physically too hard, has sidewall cracking, or tread is below 3mm, then replace them. It's literally the only part connecting your car to the road. Go and grab some fresh tires and an alignment while you're at it. Although more expensive, performance tires will make all the difference on track. That depends how hard you want to push the car around the track. I personally always opt for the expensive tires because I want to ensure that I have enough grip around the track. Make sure your tire pressure is also correct, so do some research on what suits your vehicle. Finally, assuming that you have good access around and under the car with the wheels off, you're going to want to check for leaks, worn bushes, and worn mounts. Most cars over 7 years old have very minor leaks and are mostly passable. My car even has a small engine oil leak at the sump, but it's not dripping. If you have an oil leak which puddles on the ground within minutes of parking the car, then don't track it, go and get that fixed. It's not only a danger to others on the track, it could cause more issues to your vehicle. Same goes for mounts and bushings that are left unchecked. Not replacing these as required allows for excessive movement of critical drivetrain and suspension components when paired with hard driving. You will run the risk of damaging other components, and your vehicle won't handle as well if you leave this. And lastly, replacing the air filter is required if it is dirty, so it doesn't reduce airflow. Spark plugs is optional. If you have any concerns about your performance, you can change it. You don't need to do any crazy mods or upgrades. You just need to make sure your vehicle is maintained correctly and up to date before your track day. What should you be expecting on the day? Normally, you'll have a driver's briefing before you get on track to talk about safety. But once you're on the track, take it slow, get familiar with the corners, and allow others to pass you so you're not creating traffic. Most event organizers will group people based on experience or lap times so that you're grouped in with people of the same skill and vehicle performance. It's important to remember that after each session, a session normally lasts for about 15 to 20 minutes per hour, and a day normally goes between 6 to 8 hours. On your very last lap for each session, ease off the load to your engine and braking. Use the full lap to cool down your brakes and engine temperature before turning into the pits. Once you get into the pit lane, stop your vehicle. Do not use the handbrake. Using the handbrake or park brake immediately after a track session can warp your rotors, fuse your brake pads to the rotor, or cause the pads to crack due to intense heat. Instead, use a physical wheel chock to stop your car from rolling and ensure you push the vehicle back and forth a few times over the next 10 minutes so your rotors can cool down evenly. You might see others messing around with tire pressure throughout the day. If you checked your pressure before, you probably don't need to do anything. But in future, if you want to get more technical about your lap times, you can invest in a portable tire inflator, as pressure could affect your lap time. At each session, you want to make a conscious effort to keep an eye on your temperature gauges and how your car is performing each lap. If your engine temperature increases more than normal or your car starts to struggle under load, you should consider taking it easy for the rest of the session and allow the car to cool down, because it's likely that you do not have the tools to fix the issue on the day. Same goes for braking. If your brakes start to become less effective, it's time to cool the car down. If anything alarming occurs, such as a loud noise or a clear sign of disaster, then you might want to call it a day if you plan to still drive home. Otherwise, a tow truck might be the last resort here. Normally, your first track day ever is about learning your car. Don't worry about lap times. Gain a bit of confidence and aim to finish the day without crashing or breaking down. As time goes on, you will start to gain the confidence. If the organizers offer driving instructors, make sure you use them throughout the day so you can fast track your learning. By the end of this day, you might be hooked and start to think about what other things you can do to increase your skills and improve your vehicle's handling. Hopefully, this video was useful, and if I missed anything important, leave a comment below. This is all about having fun at the end of the day. You're not a pro driver, you're not trying to win any medals, and the community is pretty cool. So just go out there, meet some new people, and have some fun.